Honor of a lifetime to be the first to welcome you to the Steve Jobs Theater.
It has announced its chief executive, Tim Cook, is stepping down in September after 15 years in the top job.
Changes for Apple. After 15 years, Tim Cook is leaving his post as CEO of Apple, and starting in September, he will be the executive chairman of Apple's board of directors.
They tried to kill Tim Cook on the internet again, and millions believed it for a minute. A classic death hoax loop, a viral glitch in the timeline, and a reminder that hype travels faster than truth. But here's the plot twist that actually matters. The Tim Cook era is really ending, just not the way the rumors claimed. Apple has confirmed a real transition.
End of an era for Apple. The CEO stepping down, Tim Cook transitioning to the executive chairman.
Tim Cook steps down as CEO, and a new leader takes the wheel later this year.
He'll be replaced by John Ternus, who is currently president of hardware engineering and oversees all of Apple's physical products like the iPhone and the iPad.
So today, we're unpacking the lore, the leadership shift, and the future of Apple, in a world where AI is rewriting the rules in real time. Let's talk about the rumor first, because it's part of the story now. A claim that Tim Cook had died spread online and was quickly proven false. Another recycled hoax with modern reach. This happens because shock is currency, and social platforms reward speed over verification every single time. Apple is a special case, because Apple isn't just a company. It's a belief system with a logo. The elite chase the keynote moments and pre-order energy, while the masses wait for upgrades once the dust settles. The gap turns speculation into prophecy because people expect Apple news to feel dramatic. Here's the meta layer most people miss. The hoax was never about Tim Cook himself. It was about anxiety around transition. What people fear isn't death. It's disruption, especially when a company defines so many daily habits.
So it's been different, but I think it's of great value, as it turns out, to look back and feel grateful for the journey, to feel grateful for all of the characters that have been a part of that journey.
Now let's reset the signal. Tim Cook is not dead, not ill, and not forced out. Apple confirmed a structured leadership transition, with Cook stepping away from the CEO role later this year. He moves into an executive chairman role, staying close to strategy, governance, and long-term vision. This matters because Apple doesn't sever roots. It reinforces them during change. When Cook addressed employees, he made one thing clear. He is healthy, energized, and still deeply connected to Apple's future. That statement alone tells you this was planned, deliberate, and stabilized well in advance. Apple does not do surprise chaos. Apple does choreography. Don't follow the crowd. Follow the aura. Tim Cook's legacy was never meant to look like Steve Jobs' legacy. Jobs built mythology. Cook built infrastructure that could scale the mythology into permanence. Under Cook, Apple became operationally unstoppable. Supply chains hardened, margins expanded, services evolved into a dominance engine. This is how Apple transformed into one of the most valuable companies in modern history. This is where perception breaks down. Innovation doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like reliability, trust, and an ecosystem that survives real life. The elite celebrated the launch day magic. The masses stay because their devices just keep perking year after year. That balance is not accidental, it's engineered. Small piece of lore most people forget. Cook was never hired to replace Jobs' personality. He was hired to make sure Apple didn't collapse under its own legend. Apple's next era centers on the leader deeply tied to hardware and product foundations. That choice alone reveals the roadmap direction more clearly than any press release.
There's the rumored folding iPhone. There's also talk of smart glasses very soon. There's new smart home products like a speaker with a screen.
Hardware is where Apple controls the entire stack. Silicon, thermals, cameras, battery life, materials, and now, intelligence. In the AI era, devices are no longer just screens. They are personal edge computers. This is the meta transition underway. Apple isn't racing to look first in AI. Apple is positioning to make AI invisible, embedded, and trusted. That requires leadership, fluent in physical constraints, not just software abstractions. It signals continuity, not reinvention, which has always been Apple's real power. Don't follow the crowd, follow the aura. Apple enters the loudest decade in technology since the birth of the smartphone. AI is no longer a feature. It's the operating system of everything. The central question is simple. Can Apple define consumer AI the same way it defined consumer touch interfaces? The answer likely sits on three pillars. First, services. Recurring revenue, high margins, ecosystem gravity, and behavioral locked in. Second, silicon. Custom chips allow Apple to run advanced intelligence on device, securely, privately, and efficiently. Third, the next platform. It may not be a phone. It may not even have a screen, but it will feel inevitable once it arrives. Apple's pattern never changes. It studies early waves, avoids fragile hype, then ships the version that becomes a default standard. This is why Apple survives generational tech shifts. It doesn't chase trends, it absorbs them. If you want to understand Apple's direction, ignore the clickbait. Watch the language Apple uses around intelligence, privacy, and daily life integration. Watch whether leadership becomes more assertive around platform bets, not product refreshes. That's where the next decade truly gets decided. Most importantly, understand this moment for what it is. Tim Cook didn't die, but his chapter is closing with intention and control. Apple is repositioning for an intelligence-first era without abandoning its core identity. Don't follow the crowd, follow the aura.
Apple just announced its biggest leadership change in 15 years. John Ternus will replace Tim Cook as CEO in September. And the choice says a lot about the kind of future that Apple is betting on.
Apple didn't choose a replacement. It chose a continuation machine. John Ternus is not an outsider. He is not a turnaround hire. He is Apple, built from inside out.
When I first got to Apple, it was my second job out of college, and the first time I walked through those doors, it was exhilarating and intimidating all at once. To be honest, I wasn't sure I belonged there. The people I met were so smart and so confident, and they knew so much more than me. But I'll always be grateful that I wasn't afraid to ask for help when I needed it.
Ternus joined Apple in 2001 and has spent more than 2 decades inside the company's most sensitive engine, hardware. He currently leads all hardware engineering, spanning iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, AirPods, and Vision Pro, the products that generate the vast majority of Apple's revenue and defines its identity. This matters more than it sounds. Hardware is where Apple controls reality, performance through silicon, trust through privacy, experience through financial constraints. When Apple board selected Ternus, they weren't betting on charisma. They were betting on execution and planetary scale. Tim Cook himself framed it precisely. Ternus has the mind of an engineer, the soul of an innovator, and the heart to lead with integrity. This was a leap. It was a handoff. A John Ternus-led Apple will feel familiar, and that's the point. Where Cook optimized Apple for scale, margin, and operational resilience, Ternus inherits a new mandate: make complexity disappear again. His background signals 3 clear priorities. First, hardware-integrated AI. Ternus has spent his career solving problems where software promises collide with physics. That positions Apple to push AI on-device, private, efficient, and tightly coupled with silicon. Not as a cloud dependency, but as a native capability. Second, product coherence over speed. Ternus is known internally for obsessive attention to detail, materials, tolerances, durability. This suggests Apple will resist shipping AI features just to match competitors, instead waiting until intelligence feels invisible, stable, and boring in daily use. Third, long-cycle platform bets. Under Ternus, Apple is unlikely to chase headlines. Instead, it will double down on multi-year arcs: silicon, leadership, wearable computing, spatial interfaces, and whatever quietly replaces the smartphone. Not suddenly, but inevitably. This is not a reset era. It's a refinement era under pressure. Apple didn't choose a storyteller. It chose a systems thinker. Don't follow the crowd. Follow the aura.
John Ternus is the next CEO of Apple. He's the most qualified person in the world to build the next iPhone. But unfortunately, the question is not whether he can build the hardware. The question is, can John Ternus rebuild the soul of a company that Tim Cook may have already cashed out?